it's Randy here with Las Vegas Spotlights, and today we're here with Eric Napule, and he's here with Company 316 Fire and Safety. He's going to share a little bit about his background. And what I want to ask here in Las Vegas, you have the business set up. What is Company 316?
Well, company 316 fire and safety. I got the business. Open up started in Grand Prairie, Texas,
Oh,
where I'm actually lived at,
mm-hmm.
and then I expanded my office here in Vegas way back in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So, company 316 is one of the leading distributing company of OmniShield. It's a home safe product network,
Mm-hmm.
for protections for the family against devastating effects of fire,
Mm-hmm.
carbon monoxide poisoning, and flood and freeze.
Okay, so your company here, you have this the setup in front of us here. What kind of gap in the marketplace is out there that you've noticed? Why this over other products?
Well, my product or our product is excellent, because we built to really protect, the every houses,
Mm-hmm.
in the United States of America,
Mm-hmm.
with the highest technology to early detect,
Right.
about the smoke, and the heat
Mm-hmm.
and carbon monoxide,
Mm-hmm.
and Randy. So we have a six
Okay.
product lines that converted into one system.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna give example, this is the heat
Sure.
sensors on it,
Yeah.
you know, and a lot of reports, the house fire, they started from their attic,
Mm-hmm.
and garage and their
Yeah.
kitchens, and these heat sensors will give them, early detections about a certain, increase of temperature.
Okay, so
You
I'll
know,
stop you right there. So this one here is not smoke related. This is actually heat related.
yeah,
This.
this is heat related.
Okay.
Because the code, we cannot put smoke sensors in those area,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Vegas.
Yeah.
Our attic here is so hot, and
Exactly.
I believe, fire can happen anytime. The heat can pick up,
Mm-hmm.
and because we use the radio frequency,
Mm-hmm.
they're interconnected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
When the heat detected the fire or the heat,
Mm-hmm.
the exaggerated, exit
Right.
of sudden increased temperature, all our alarms will go up and will alert,
Mm-hmm.
the family to get
Right.
out of the house if they have a fire.
Right.
And to me, I was like, hey, that's amazing. We save lives.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
exactly. So that's the heat related one. Now, if we take a look at more of the smoke related ones, and these are all interconnected, what makes them different here on the smoke side?
Well, smoke sensors, we normally put this inside to our house, in our living room,
Right.
hallway, and bedroom.
Hmm.
So our sensors, our smoke sensors will detect. We use the optical sensors.
Okay.
When they detect the smoke,
Hmm.
they pick it up, and then we have a dual sensors, and we also have a rate of price. We also detect the increase of the heat
Hmm.
inside the house.
Hmm.
It's optical sensors to detect the slow smoldering fire,
Right.
and the rate of price to detect the fast flaming fires. When they
Mm.
go up, all our systems, all our alarms will also go up, to alert,
Hmm.
the family
Right.
to get out, inside from house,
Hmm.
so they all have time,
Right.
to get out. Okay.
Perfect.
you know
Perfect. Now, the other one that I see in front of me is for carbon monoxide.
our carbon monoxide, and remember, the CO poison is a silent killer.
Hmm.
And I believe, these come from incomplete combustions of our natural gas.
Right.
And what makes carbon monoxide is so dangerous,
Hmm.
Randy, because you cannot see it,
No.
you cannot taste it, and you cannot smell it.
Right.
Our carbon monoxide will detect, as early as 70 parts per million, even before the 400 parts per million, which is the toxicity level.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what makes our product is so special, our carbon monoxide is so special, because when this detect
Hmm.
the CO,
Hmm.
all our product will also alarm as a
Okay.
CO alarm system, and
Hmm.
then will give everyone, a kind of indications. Hey, you have a CO activation.
Right.
You have a carbon monoxide alert. So,
Hmm.
so you have time to call 911, open your windows to get all the air.
Right.
And there's a first thing that that everybody needs to do: open all the windows and doors, making sure the air getting,
Mm-hmm.
and then call the 911 or call anybody that is actually expert to detect
Right.
the reading of the carbon monoxide inside the house. And to me, it was like, as a nurse background,
Mm-hmm.
before I switch over to this business, is we save lives. We treat patients, when they get in the hospital, and,
Mm-hmm.
and give them interventions that they needed to do due to their medical conditions.
Right. Right. Now, I'm going to kind of veer off here a little bit then. So you've explained about in a home, where other applications, what other facilities could we use this in?
Well, we have on the top of our life saving
Mm-hmm.
you know interventions.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a water sensor, to
Mm-hmm.
detect the um, the early indications of you have a leak that can cause floods
Right.
and damages inside your house.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they came out from the busted water heater, from their kitchen sink
Yeah.
leak, from their bidet, from their toilets and
Yeah.
washers. So we have a special flood sensors,
Mm-hmm.
that made in 23 karat golds, okay, to
Mm.
prevent, the corrosions,
Right.
So that alone will give you a peace of mind. This is gonna stay longer,
Mm-hmm.
to detect the leak, and give you what, and give you an alert to have time to look where the flood coming from,
Mm-hmm.
so you have time to repair
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of get out from high repairs, cost damage,
Yeah.
and that's cost a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
if you have a flood, the Randy,
Yeah.
and that's normal happening inside the house,
Yeah.
you know so now, and then we have an app. Okay, we have an app on our main core
Mm-hmm.
is alarm system.
Right.
Okay, but we have a special added features. This is a communication link. Okay,
Okay.
this will generate in a three ways, three types of notifications. We have a push notifications,
Mm-hmm.
we have an email alert, and we
Right.
have a text messages alert. Okay,
Oh,
so
even
yeah,
text messages.
even text messages.
Yeah.
Even you're out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Even you're in Canada, you're in
Yeah.
the Philippines, you're Vietnam,
Yeah.
in Europe. So you got the real time alerts, and it tells you like, Randy, smoke detected to your master bedroom, at
Mm.
this family home,
Right.
and blah, blah, blah. And then you have an eight responder, or you can add it eight people, your family member, And I
Mm-hmm.
believe, who do you think will be the first one to know when you have a problem? Your family.
Yeah.
You don't want your neighbors.
Yeah.
You don't want other people. You want your family to be the first people to know if you have a problem in your house. So you
Mm-hmm.
have time to call 911
Right.
or any government agency that can help you out, to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How if you don't need 911? How if by yourself you prevent, the problem right away? You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
But of course, to make it for everyone safe, always get out the house and call 911.
That's right. That's right.
That's a protocol.
Okay, so I skipped over this. Right in front of me, there's something that maybe looks a little bit unusual if you're watching this video. What is this device here for?
Well, this is I love this. Everybody love it. This is we call the bedside control system, or the
Mm-hmm.
bed shaker.
Right.
This will give everyone an extra protection, especially with a hearing impaired. With when people reach a certain age of 60s, 70s,
Mm-hmm.
80s, our hearing loss,
Yes.
started to lose, or
Mm-hmm.
kind of impaired. So this is gonna go to the bedside, and this is gonna go under the mattress, and then
Mm-hmm.
it will shake your bed. It
Okay.
will give you a different kind of notifications,
Mm-hmm.
that something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or when uh, the young adults, or even yourself, when we are listening to, when we plug into our to the music, and then we go to the bed, where sometimes, we music is therapy. People
Yeah.
sleep, listening to the music,
Mm-hmm.
until you have no idea that this activation is going off,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't hear it,
No.
but you have a bed shaker that will shake your bed. So
That,
that will give you to the most protections,
mm-hmm.
that you feel like you're safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense because all of these are, these audible devices. But if I've got my headphones on, or
Oh
or
yeah,
earphones, then it's like, okay, this is going to shake the bed,
yeah,
right,
that's
under the
amazing.
mattress, right?
Hmm.
Plus, this is also going to have an
Gonna go
audible
up.
alert,
Yeah,
right?
audible alert. Yes.
Perfect, perfect. And right.
Hmm.
Plus, this is also going to have an
Gonna go
audible
up.
alert,
Yeah,
right?
audible alert. Yes.
Perfect, perfect. And again, this small one here, I'm standing beside the dishwasher. Obviously, if that's under the sink or beside the dishwasher, that
Yeah.
would go off as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I forgot to add on the communication link. I
Mhm.
mean, when this will reach, the people that part of your responder, they
Mhm.
get a text, and there's no monthly monitoring fee. 24/7, you get a real time.
So, in other words, I'm not paying like $30 a month to
Oh
have this
no,
connected or
no,
anything.
completely no, sir. They activate,
Hmm.
they send you text,
Right.
they send you notifications about
Hmm.
what's going on
Right.
with different kind of dangers, like
Hmm.
fire in your kitchen,
Hmm.
and fire in your attic,
Right.
carbon monoxide,
Hmm.
or moisture detected. you
Right.
know
Right.
so and I think that's so important, Randy.
It is.
And every houses need to increase, their fire and carbon monoxide safety alarm
Hmm.
system and detection system.
Right. Right.
Because what's the worst thing can happen in your family, Randy?
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah. Fire. Yeah.
And people died because of carbon monoxide that we didn't know.
Hmm.
you know
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I think one thing we haven't pointed out here, in lots of you have gone to the Home Depots and everything and purchased different products. What makes this different, so much more exceptional than kind of over the store counter thing that was made in China?
Well, ours manufactured, and they're all engineered in the United States of America.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Then we use the long-term, shield battery,
Mm-hmm.
that we, that can last,
Mm-hmm.
10 years, according to the code. All smoke sensors need to replace,
Mm-hmm.
every 10 years. And
Right.
ours is this can you can keep this
Mm-hmm.
after 10 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you don't have to change the battery every 6 months, and
Right.
climb up the ladders. And I feel, especially the elderly people,
Yeah.
like they don't have no kids
Yeah.
with them, and the ordinary smoke detectors from Walmart, Home
Yeah.
Depot. You need to change the battery. You get the ladder, you climb the ladder, and help you fall.
Yeah.
So I think that would be minimize,
Mm-hmm.
the injury,
Right.
because you don't have to change the battery every 6 months and so on.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people just forget about it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus we use the RF module, radio frequency module.
Okay.
When one go up,
Mm-hmm.
everything will go up. And then we have a fantastic AI applications as well,
Mm-hmm.
with the customer service, with,
Right.
with our app.
Mm-hmm.
You can download the OmShield apps,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so cool. And it tells you the real real status of each sensors in your house.
Mm-hmm.
If you have activations, it will also record it. So there's so much report on your apps according to the statuses of your different types of detections.
So then I could use the app. If I'm looking at it, I could actually really be seeing these things live
Yeah,
on exactly what's happening.
what's happening.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind, making sure your internet is up and running.
Of course.
Well, I mean,
That's the limitation, but that
that's
would be for anybody.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So, getting back to this, I don't have to change the battery in this every 6 months or a year?
No, sir. No,
Oh,
Randy. Yeah, it's so cool.
yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
Sounds great. Now, sitting in front of us, I think there's probably different packages that you would have for one story or a two-story home.
Yes, yes. So we're gonna do first, the evaluations,
Mm-hmm.
and then we figure out, how many bedrooms,
Right.
or how many remote rooms, like attic, garage, and
Mm-hmm.
your laundry. Even your laundry, it's very
Yeah.
important, because
Mm-hmm.
what is the leading cause of fire in the laundry? Your lead.
Yeah.
And a lot of fire, house fire, they figure out they all started from their laundry.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
and 6 product lines. We have CO,
Right.
smoke, heat, and we have water sensors,
Right.
bed shakers, and communication link.
Mm-hmm.
6 product lines converted into one system. And I
Mm-hmm.
think So we, we carry the highest technology,
Right.
on the top of the market,
Hmm.
you know, to for early detections of fire and
Hmm.
carbon monoxide and flood and freeze.
Right. Right. So then, as far as the rest of the system here, is there a monitoring fee like for these three that
No,
I would
sir.
pay in a month?
No.
So in other
They're
words, once I get them, they're mine. I'm not.
Yes, that's yours.
Oh, okay.
And they are all covered with lifetime replacement guarantee in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The one thing that a lot of you are wondering about is you've got an EV, anticipating in getting one, something along that line. This one, by the sounds of it, with the heat, might be important along with the other ones for that
Yes.
car parked in the garage,
Yes, sir.
right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, there's always a fire hazards. Whenever we have installed something with high electrical voltage,
Hmm.
and charging stations. And I think it's I believe, I mean, honestly, I want to be proactive. If
Right.
I have that, if I have an EV in my house, I want to make sure I have a heat sensors in my
Of
garage.
course.
and
Yeah.
and and that heat sensors, when that go up and it reach the parameters more
Hmm.
than the heat sensitivity.
Hmm.
So when they go up, all your alarms inside your house will also
Hmm.
alerted and connected, and they will go up at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's really, really critical. Is that heat sensor there? That's
Yes.
really
Yeah,
important there. So now
it is.
we're standing here in Las Vegas, but I think you work in other states. Where else do you work?
In a state of California,
Okay.
and a state of Oregon, and
Okay.
state of Texas, which is that's my base.
That's your home
That's
base.
my home base. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So now you're taking a look at all of this package here. You've heard some of the benefits there. There's obviously a lot more. Whether you're a business owner or you're a homeowner, or as a matter of fact, we haven't even talked on this, and we'll get to this in a second. If you're renting a home or you have multiple homes that maybe you own two and you're renting in two, what about portability? We haven't talked about that.
They I think I forgot to mention that to you. Thank you for
Yeah.
for a quick reminding me.
Hmm.
Randy, all our sensors are wirelessly interconnected, mean you can
Hmm.
take them with you if you move. That's so cool.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I looked at was, well, if I fix it into my home and I'm renting that one, can I take it with me? So you're saying I could take the whole package with me
Yeah,
and it still functions the same.
exactly.
Yeah.
And if all our sensors also will, we have a new features, that you can actually turn it on and off,
Hmm.
our sensors. and
Hmm.
and to me, my personal understanding is when your alarms keep going off, and so just to kind of avoid the annoying sounds, you
Right.
can turn it off, and then
Yeah.
you call the customer service, and then figure out what's the reason of keep going off.
Right.
And you can also take it with you when you're going for vacations,
Hmm.
you know like Airbnb,
Yeah.
like you're going to other area that you think
Hmm.
they only use the minimum protections
Of course.
for yourself. So carbon monoxides are very important,
Hmm.
so you can take them with you. When you go into to your travel, you can turn it off for now, and then when
Hmm.
you reach your destinations, to your places, hotels, you can turn it back on. That keeps you protected while
Yeah.
you're there. Why not?
Yeah. It's a no brainer. You might
It's
as
no
well.
brainer.
Yeah. You
Exactly.
already own it.
So
Yeah.
it's so cool. There's an on and off button, and and this is the alarm sensor or system that so far that I can say is on the top of the market.
I'm going to try this thing out.
Yep.
Ah! Wow.
That's so loud.
Yeah. Okay. So to get a hold of you, Eric, what's the best way? There must be multiple ways we can inquire about this. How do we get a hold of you?
Well, they can contact me, in my Facebook. I have a Facebook page,
Hmm.
company 316, or I have an email
Hmm.
at company316hs@gmail.com,
Hmm.
and then I have a phone number. They can reach me
Okay.
to my office number 214-535-7910.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, the good thing about it, if you didn't catch any of that, that'll be in the show notes anyways. There'll be a transcription. You'll be able to pick up all of that information. So, Eric, it was great having you here in Las Vegas. Appreciate the
Thank you,
opportunity to get
Randy.
together
Thanks
with you.
for having me
Right
here.
on.
Yeah,
Sounds super.
thanks.
Thanks.